Investing is one of the pathways to a certain kind of freedom in a capitalist environment. Within a capitalist environment, many things, most things, have a price, either directly or indirectly. You could think of a marriage and say, well, you can't buy a marriage. But you can capsize a marriage without money, and in that sense, money can be an important ingredient. If the partner you would like to marry needs a certain amount of money to enter your country, that's the situation in the United States, where a whole host of countries around the world are banned from relationship essentially because they're poor. You can somewhat get around that with something like a K-1 visa, where you commit to get married within 90 days of your partner first setting foot in the United States. But, paying all of the fees just to have the right to spend time with the person you want to spend time with, that takes money. So there's different levels of financial freedom that I've experienced in my own life. The first kind of level of financial freedom is being able to generate an income, to find work that creates a certain level of income. And so the ability to sell, to whether it's send out resumes or generate work. As a landscape designer and installer, I've never sent out a resume in my life, but there's still, wherever I move, and I've done landscaping in England, I've done it in Vancouver, Canada, I've done it in my citizenship, my country of citizenship, the US, I could go anywhere and do landscaping because soil needs amending, plants need planting and irrigating. The principles of design are the same, even if the plants and materials are different. So I could put down roots anywhere on the globe and make beautiful spaces. And, each time I've moved, I've done that, even within the United States, going from Washington State down to California, where I am right now. I was able to, create a $70,000 landscape job within the first month of moving to California. And so there's an ability to create work, and that's tied to the ability to become useful in something. So that's the first step, to be willing and able to become useful in an area, and then to be able to sell that to generate money. And so that's kind of a first level of freedom. So we might kind of see that maybe like right here. Then the next level up is the level of where you have maybe a 3-month saving, that was enough for me. Moving from the hand-to-mouth dynamic to having $30,000 in the bank, which is kind of a 3-month savings cushion, that threshold enables vision. Because you're looking down, I got to get the next bill and the next bill. You're looking down before you have a savings cushion. And so with $30,000 in the bank, there's a sense like I could go do something that I wanted to do for 3 months of the year and not have to think about money. The other really nice thing about $30,000 in the bank for me was I never had to balance my checkbook ever again. Meaning, with my particular lifestyle, $30,000 is enough that, if I just glance at the account once or twice, every couple of months, And if it's below 30,000, put some more in and don't spend frivolously. And if it's above 30,000, say, hey, what do I want to do with that? No more looking at accounts, no more thinking about money. So that was a real milestone for me, because that was the point where, one, I could travel. I could decide to head off to the Philippines for a month, or head off to Thailand for a month, or head off to Denmark for a month, wherever I head off to Italy, being able to have enough where it's not about stopping the next check from bouncing. So 30,000 did all of that. I never had to think about money again, and I could take 1, 2, or even 3 months of vacation and then build that reserve up. So that's a second level of financial freedom, which will vary depending on what you want to do. But I think one of the more enjoyable things is not deciding everything from a place of scarcity, like I could never afford that. But of all the things that I could do and enjoy, the places I could live, etc., what do I actually enjoy, and what does that cost? Now, one of the reasons I love Thailand so much is that my experience of well-being goes up an average of 300%, while my cost goes down 40%. That's a 600% higher return on investment. My costs are going down, and they could, if I wasn't staying at 5-star hotels, they could go down even more, right? So I could see a 60 or 70% reduction in lifestyle costs while seeing a 300% return on the ease of well-being. Why? Well, it's just easier to walk into a lovely dentist and pay $30 for a teeth cleaning with no appointment. It's easier and cheaper, and the dentist is nicer. No waiting, no have to get to the dentist on time. It's easier. And it's cheaper. Well, obviously that's a 300% easier and nicer dentist experience. It's easier to get a massage. Thai massages on the beach, they are phenomenal. Again, no appointment, no rushing around in traffic to be on time for the massage so that you can relax, right? You rush to be on time, and then you look for a parking place. And then, you did all that to relax, and then you paid $140 to someone you didn't have much of a rapport with so that you could relax. It's not fun. But walk by a stall on the beach. Talk a little bit. Oh, I would enjoy talking with this person. I like them. Let's do a massage. When? Right now. For how much? 10. Let's give a tip. $15, right? 50% tip. That's fun. Looking at the beach, looking at the sunset, that's fun. The air is better. The view is better. The people are nicer. And it's 1/10 the cost. When you feel like doing it, you do it. That's fun, right? So fun is up, cost is down. Now, without that $30,000 threshold, meaning if I had never had the discipline, and it was an addiction, by the way, I'll just share that I had to break through adrenaline addiction in order to go from, covering the last check to I never have to look at my accounts pretty much ever. I mean, when I make deposits from, my business, I get a balance, and it's like, 30, 40, 50, down to 20, up to 30. Okay, that's all fine, right? Because that's enough to cover the checks that I happen to write. And so that's great. I don't have to pay attention. I can do what I want to do without thinking about money is a good way to look at that level of freedom. Well, that's what set me out to travel. Now, after visiting 10 different countries, I noticed that Thailand was the highest return on investment, meaning my happiness went up the most, while the cost was significantly less than many other places. That's a good deal. That's an important thing to note, to measure if you could be anywhere in the world. Where is the place that will be the most enjoyable for you with the least amount of energy expended, time, money, natural resources, right? So that's a very important thing to pay attention to. And I could never have even had the opportunity to compare countries and cultures if I hadn't reached that first level of freedom. Now, this then set up an interesting dynamic. So having discovered that I liked Thailand more than I liked the US or Denmark or Italy or Philippines or any other place that I'd been, Cyprus, England, Canada, I liked Thailand the most. But then there's still a sense of, okay, I'd like to be in Thailand. But I can't be in Thailand. Why? Well, 30,000 burns up quickly. So I can get up to 50,000, spend maybe 2 months in Thailand, get up to 50,000, spend 2 months in Thailand. But I'm only spending like a third of the year. And then I'm just treading water because I'm making money and then I'm spending it all overseas, making money, spending it all overseas. So I did that for a while, but there's this feeling of like, I want to be where I want to be rather than always having to come back to the US. Now, the US is a fabulous place. I don't know a better country to make and spend money efficiently than the United States. There may be a better country, I just don't know it. And so that's a lot of how I view the US, these days, is the US is where I come to make money, spend money efficiently, and then go to where I want to be, right? But that's second level freedom. Now, the third level of freedom is I have enough money to be wherever I want to be for as long as I want to be there, doing the things that I want to do. Now, that's the point where you have an emergency fund plus your investment profits are making more money than you're spending in a given month. So you have an emergency fund plus your investment profits are making more money every month than your cost of living. And so, for example, if I wanted to do that in Thailand, I would say that probably $30,000 a year. So that's $3,000 a month, give or take, would allow that. And so then how much has to be invested to generate about $3,000 a month? Well, in traditional investing with maybe an index fund and some bonds, et cetera, you'd need a fair amount. But in the areas that I'm most interested in, like I got very interested in Tesla. I just felt really passionate about the company. I read Elon's biography by Ashley Vance. I looked at what they were trying to do, and I loved being associated with that company. And it just so happened that, when the short sellers were really ganging up on Tesla in 2017, I just got mad because I thought, why is Wall Street betting so hard against such a hard-working, innovative, healthy human being who's trying to bring well-being to our species, to our planet? I don't like that. So I put all of my IRA money into Tesla. And then it went up 1,000%. The stock went up 1,000%. Well, obviously that's not following the the 4% model that a year that went up 1,000% in 1 year. So it seems like, that got me a little bit more interested in investing. There's not many companies that I'm excited about. I was really excited about Tesla and still am. And so, that's a good company to be in. I'm excited about it. I was willing to put all my money into Tesla, even if it went bankrupt, because I really wanted to support, someone who's doing their best to think big for the benefit of the species. And that's what I saw Elon doing, putting all of his hundreds of millions into Solar City, SpaceX for becoming interplanetary, and Tesla to have more sustainable transportation and safer cars as well. So that's, obviously if things went up 1,000% per year regularly, you could invest $10,000 and live on that for the rest of your life. But that's not a reliable occurrence. And but I've invested a lot and just kept putting more into Tesla. And then the other thing is, Bitcoin and Ethereum have gone up an average of 200% over the last 10 years. And they may not go up that much, but I like decentralized finance for the freedom it gives to individuals. Freedom is, of course, neutral. You can use freedom to hurt yourself and other people, and you can use freedom to help yourself and other people. That's what freedom is. It's neutral. I see a tremendous amount of inefficiency, corruption, and waste in autocratic power structures such as government and other monopolies. And Bitcoin is a bit of an antidote to that. Ethereum is a bit of an antidote to that. So, I've mostly been making money in Bitcoin and Ethereum, a little bit of a learning curve. But that seems like, there are at least things that I believe in, that I'm glad to be associated with. And I have a sense after studying, the business and different models for maybe 150 hours of my time. I've spent probably 300 hours of my time studying Tesla and what it's up to, and why I want to be associated with that. And maybe I've spent, 100 hours studying, Bitcoin and Ethereum and the general decentralized market, and I like what I'm seeing there. And so that's, my conclusion is that, if I have 30% of my money in Bitcoin and Ethereum and maybe 40% of my money in Tesla, and then, another 20% or so of money in other companies that I like and feel some inspiration around. I'm comfortable with that as being a hypothesis because I can always do landscaping and make a good income anytime I want to, for as long as I can talk and, get out of bed. And it's not a bad, thing to do. It's a good skill set. It makes people happy, and it can provide a good income. But where I'm focused on at the moment is, rapidly putting $100,000 a year into the 2 nonprofits that I've founded, because that's play money to do good stuff with, right? So if I have a couple $100,000 in play money to do good stuff with, visionary things that I believe in. Well, that's fun. I didn't want to retire in a sense where I feel like I'm watching every penny, so I can't think big, I can't grow, I can't, contribute to other people's lives in a way. So starting these nonprofits and putting money into that then gives me money to invest in the species, in the planet. So that's one form of freedom that I'm interested in, right? Right there is money to explore well-being with and to contribute. But then the other is the freedom. Most countries, it turns out, have a certain amount of money where if you invest whatever it is, basically rich people can live anywhere they want. Poor people are in all kinds of ridiculous loops around where they want to live. If you want to live in Sweden as a U.S. citizen, tough. You can't. It's, you're not a Swedish citizen. However, if you invest $100,000 into a Swedish company, well, then you get residency in Sweden. If you invest, I think it's $2 million or $1 million in the U.S., you get to stay here. If you invest like $400,000 in Australia, you get to stay there. If you invest $125,000 into Vanuatu, interesting island, you get to live there. If you invest $100,000 into Barbados, then you can live in Barbados. And if you put enough, money into Thailand, you can live there. So, but it's different in different countries. And it seems like, at least, the places that I'm interested, you need around $300,000 to be able to live where you want to live, doing the things you want to do without pimping out for money. I'd like to do this, but in order to do this, I have to do this that I don't want to do in order to get money to do what I want to do. That's prostitution. That's saying I want this, and I don't want this, but I have to do this to get this. I want these shoes, and I have to go to this job I don't like in order to get the shoes so that I can get what I want. That's prostitution. It doesn't matter if you're having sex with someone you don't want to have sex with so that you can get what you want, which is money. Or if you're going to work where you don't want to go to work so that you can get what you want, which is money. Or if you're spending time doing things that you don't want to do so that you can have the freedom to do what you actually want to do, that's prostitution. And so there's a continuum of prostitution. What do I have to say? How do I have to look? Whose approval do I need? What do I have to do, say, think, feel to make someone else happy so that I can do what I want? That's the continuum of prostitution. I want to wear this, but I have to wear this. I want to wear this, but I want to eat this, but I have to eat this. I want to say this, but I have to say this. I want to buy this, but I have to buy that. I want to do this, but I have to do that. The gap between those 2 points is prostitution. The doing something so that I can do something that I want to do. Doing something I have to do. I have to do this so that I can do that. Now, one of the interesting marks along here that is a really big benchmark for me is a virtual assistant. Devang is my virtual assistant for 7 years or more. And every day, Devang spends 4 hours doing things that I don't want to do, but that have to get done so that I can do the things that I do want to do. You think I like doing accounting? Forget it. Think I like handling permits? No. Do I like fixing glitches in a website? No, I don't. How about doing research with government agencies of where to put this? And who wants to deal with that? There are so many things in a bureaucratic, highly regulated cult that are not fun for anyone. They're not fun for the people working there in the cult, and they're not fun for the people trying to navigate it. The whole thing is not fun. Now, being able to have someone that does the things that I don't enjoy doing, but that enable the things that I enjoy doing, reduces significantly the prostitution quotient. Because if I have to file a business license in order to work so that I can work, so that I can get the money, so that I can go to Thailand, we're 3 deep into prostitution. We have to get the license, which I don't want to get, so that I can do the work that I don't want to do, to get the money that I don't want to make, so that I can be where I want to be, right? Well, a virtual assistant can take some of that down. Like, they can get the license and manage this and do this and do this and this, and take that quotient down so that what you want to be doing with your time can go up. So that's, a very significant milestone, and it's useful enough to me that, I don't want to retire without a virtual assistant, which then, that is what is that? Well, let's say around $1,700 a month, something like that, to be able to have all that competence and stuff. And that could go down to maybe $1,000 a month if, it was just play stuff. Get me some airline tickets here. Find out what's going on over here. Look for this. Get me this person's email address. I'd like to, have a chat with them. That kind of, help makes it fun. If you want to write a 20-minute note to someone and you spend an hour looking for their email address, that's not fun. But the 20-minute note is, and send this to so-and-so, that's fun. And so these are different milestones in financial freedom. And I didn't know that I'd be interested in starting a 10X community in my 20s and 30s. I had no idea. So I didn't know that I would be interested in having $1 million, which is comfortable seed capital. Because the more you have investors and things, the more you have to answer to them, right? You have to explain what you're doing here and why you've changed your mind because you went on this trip and now you were inspired by this, but you told them you were going to do that. The more investors you have, the more prostitution as a general rule. You now have a new pimp, right? You've got the regulators, you've got the neighbors, you've got your employees, now you've got the investors. And you're trying to please them so that you can do the thing you want to do. I find that very distasteful. And so one of the reasons I'm making this video is I regret not saving money sooner so that when I discovered that I had a good use for a million, that I would have a couple of million on hand for those moments, which I could have done if I'd taken an interest in investing. I just wasn't interested in investing. I was interested in certain things and I could always buy those things. So, I didn't want to just make money to make money, but I think it's good to remember that our future selves are more intelligent and visionary than our present selves. So if we start young to give our future self, a bubble of energy in a capitalist framework, that then that future self that's smarter than we are can spend as they see fit, in our 40s or 50s or whatever. I think that's, a terrific gift, to ourselves and others. And I think it's the world is a healthier place when you have less prostitution. It's a healthier thing when people are doing the thing that they believe in and really want to do, rather than when they're doing the things that they have to do, that they don't want to do, in order to do the things that they really want to do. I think it's more fun to be around because that's a higher level of integrity. It's a higher level of authenticity. Integrity, integration of heart, mind, and body. If I'm thinking, I'd really rather not be here, but I'm saying, oh, sir, how can I help you? That's not integrity. That's disintegration. I'm thinking this and I'm doing the exact opposite. That's prostitution. I think the world is a stronger, healthier place when more and more healthy people are doing the things that they want to do in the ways they want to do them. Because most of the things that we have to do in order to do the things we want to do are not as healthy as the things we actually want to do. Now, this isn't the case with addiction, but we're not in touch with ourselves. We're just managing pain and dealing with trauma in a traumatically illiterate culture. So these are my sense of, the important milestones that I've experienced. Being debt-free was another one in here. I'm not going to take any debt. That's another form of freedom because when you've got debt, the debt thinks for you. If you have some character and don't want to default on your debt, if you have debt, the debt thinks for you. Because the debt will say, that's a good opportunity to pay me down. You say, yeah, it is. I better do it, right? It's a different question than what would I really enjoy doing today? It's, gosh, I'm uncomfortable with all this debt. I better pay some of that debt down. I'm paying all this interest. I better do these things that I don't want to do to pay that debt down. And so being debt-free, it was definitely for 10 years, a really big, source of just, I don't have to think about the debt because there isn't any debt. That's a fun thing to pay cash for things plus have, the 30,000 in the bank. So that's my thoughts as of, September 2021. And, over the next 1 to 2 years, I'll be kind of hitting the 350 to 500,000 invested point, which it seems to be invested in crypto and Tesla, that those are not going to just perform 4 to 7% per year, but probably do better. If not, I can be a prostitute for a longer period of time, to replenish or buy the dips, that come into those terrains. But I'm really appreciating one of the things I'm enjoying more than anything else is entering that zone where I really don't have to think about what I need to do about money to live anywhere in the world the way that I want to live. Now, 500,000 would not be enough if I wanted to retire in Vancouver in a mansion. Would barely pay for it, right? But I don't. Meaning having lived in North and West Vancouver, having lived in England, having lived or visited Denmark, having lived in Scotland, having lived in Cyprus, having lived in different parts of the United States, I'm very, very clear that both Philippines and Thailand are major winners in value relative to that. I can do a ton of things that are much more fun and much more cost-effective, for maybe $150,000 invested in land and organic farming and various things like that. They're just fun. They're really fun, and they don't take that much money, and they can, generate enough of a profit to pay for themselves and the employees. And I don't need them to make money. I need them to bring about richness and joy and dimension to my life. So I'm really excited about that. Hi, I'm Dane Rose. All knowledge begins with a paradigm, and out of that paradigm comes an idea, an awareness that we adopt, reject, or synthesize into something better. It doesn't become wisdom, it doesn't become useful until we take action, until we integrate it into not only our thoughts, but our feelings, our body, our words, and our way of being. For that to occur, we have to move from the passive media paradigm into more active engagement. In the link below, in the More Information section, is an invitation to join a very small, deliberately filtered, high-quality discussion with a group of people who share a common language and want to work with these ideas, with me and with one another, with the sole goal of creating 10 times more sustainable well-being for ourselves and those around us per unit of energy invested. Thank you for watching.